Well, I'm joined now on set by Elena Volochine, who is the Russian correspondent for France 24's French channel. She's been covering this war for us on the Russian side of the Ukrainian border. Elena, thanks very much for coming in to talk to us. As I was saying, you were in this border region when the invasion began. What did you see and what did this invasion actually look like?
I arrived in the region maybe 2 or 3 days ago before the announcement of war from Vladimir Putin, and I wanted to see the military buildup actually, because we had all these reports of the military buildup around the border, and I had sources who told me that Vladimir Putin had decided to attack Ukraine. So I wanted to go and see. I did not know how long it would take before the invasion. So I went first to the Rostov region, and there were, as soon as Vladimir Putin announced the recognition of the DPR and the LNR, the Separatist Republic, by Russia, and the entering of troops there to maintain peace, as he said, we saw some troops moving and tanks moving that were just staying in the fields. Before that, they went out to enter DPR and LNR. But in fact, there was not many military buildup there, because already in the DPR and the LNR, these two separatist republics who has been recognized by Russia since 2014, there was a very strong enforcement from Russian army there. It was totally a secret from Russia. They did not admit it, but in fact the armies were already there. So I wanted to go further north to see another military buildup around this time the region of Belgorod, and because I knew that they were planning to attack the second Ukrainian city of Kharkiv, and that would be a new front opening in this war. And so I arrived there in the night, and the next morning at around 5 a.m. in the morning, Putin had made his announcement of war in Ukraine, and I immediately started hearing the helicopters, and shelling started where I was.
Just on that point, were you expecting the invasion to happen with such force?
Such force, no, honestly not. I have had some reports from my paramilitary sources that he would attack half Ukraine until the Dnieper, which is already quite unbelievable when you think of that. It's a large-scale invasion. It has nothing to do with the local war that he led secretly, hybridly since 2014. So that already was an incredible announcement. But when we saw the scale of the invasion, it was a shock for everyone.
The other question to ask is about the population on the Russian side of the Ukrainian border. Were they prepared for an invasion? No,
not at all. When I went down the hotel reception, when all this started, the helicopters and the shelling, and I woke up the girl at the reception and I said, "Hey, war has started. Do you have a basement?" And she was totally surprised. She had never heard of possibly war starting in her region where she was, despite the fact that there was all this military buildup, because Vladimir Putin has set up all this speech that it's a civil war in Ukraine. Russia has nothing to do with it. We just want peace. We don't want war in Ukraine. We are not an aggressor. So all this was made without warning the Russian population, and especially at this side of the border, that potentially they would be in danger. Potentially there will have been war just across the border.
Now, we've also seen the cogs of a propaganda machine that have been long turning by the Kremlin. What are the consequences of the way that Russians are being fed news about this conflict?
The consequence is that just that the Russian population, they see an opposite version of the story, and the modern story has been rewritten for Russians, and they think that Ukraine is attacking Russia and that Russia is defending, and that this is a peacekeeping operation. You must know that in the official military version of Russia, it's the armies of DPR and LNR, the Separatist Republic, who are going further to push back the Nazis who are attacking them with the support of Russian regular forces. That's the official version that the Russian Ministry of Defense is spreading.
And simultaneously, there's also been a renewed effort in Russia to muzzle or to stamp out the many voices, or the growing number of voices, that are opposing this war.
Yes, it has been now virtually impossible, or very hard harder and harder for especially foreign press to work on this conflict, because we know that for the recent year, the independent press has been prevented from working and has been repressed. But now they are taking more and more measures to prevent also the last spot of free press or of foreign press being able to cover, and there's a rumors that maybe martial law is going to be adopted in the next days. They have also tightened the previous law on fake news and on state betrayal. So yeah, I think now it's getting harder and harder to work and to cover this conflict from Russia.
And what about those Russians who want to come out onto the streets that might be heeding the calls of Alexei Navalny? Where do they stand?
I think now it's going to be virtually again impossible to protest. What we see now today is the last pieces of protest in Russia, because there are more and more arrests, there are going to be more and more trials, and I think that now the aim of Russia is just to clean up the informational field and to have no message who would go against their invasion, and they have forbidden to use the word of war in publications, and also to use any sources that are not Russian for Russian media. So now it's going to be again virtually impossible to cover, to protest, to say anything that goes against the Russian official message.
Okay, Elena Volochine, the Russian correspondent for France 24's French channel. Thanks so much for coming in to talk to us here.